everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that's been very important to me over the last 2 years here. And it's about time that I actually make a video on this because this is the foundation of where all of this content has come from and all the decisions I made in my life over the past, two and a half years at this point. So that topic is financial IQ and financial literacy. This is something I've really wanted to talk about for a long time because I picked up the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad like 2.5 years ago, summer of 2018, and I've learned so much from it. Like the amount that I've gotten from one book has really just changed the trajectory of my life. So what I wanted to do with this video is I'm going to share a little bit on my story and then the importance of financial IQ and 3 reasons why you should really work to develop that no matter what industry you're in. I don't care if you're in business, if you're an artist, if you're working retail, it really doesn't matter whether you went to college or not. This is something that you can learn outside of any educational platform, and that's one of the best parts of financial literacy. It may help to go to college, right? And there's a lot of different factors at play there. So starting out, I started attending Purdue University in 2016. I was a very different man back then, and just looking back on it right now, there's a lot that I would change. And that's with anybody's life. You go back and you look at things that you're like, man, I should have changed this. And that's just a sign of growth. It shows that you've been growing. It shows that you've been improving certain aspects of your life that you can look back now and say, yeah, I would have done this differently, rather than be like, no, I was 100% correct. And when I entered Purdue, I actually started studying video game development and design as well as animation. It's a very weird major to have in college. And here's the thing, I want to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not discounting any art major whatsoever or any liberal major or anything like that. I think these are wonderful areas to explore because what I think of college as is like a setting to really be able to explore something that's important to you, whether that's within the world of business, within the world of art. There's so many different paths you can take in college. I am not trash talking any department or major whatsoever because I think I've really grown to the point where I've realized the value of having, so many different paths of study. So I grew up in a family of obviously immigrants, right? My parents from India, they don't have too much financial capital on them. Obviously, had to take out a lot of government loans to go to college. I'm working on a plan right now, hopefully get that paid off within 2 years. But coming from the background that I had, I wasn't thinking about the financial side when I was going into college. Because here's the reality of, if I stayed the game design and animation path, I would have walked out of college with probably no job, because if you're familiar with the industry and the way that these majors work, is that you're building up a portfolio, which is awesome to an extent. Props to you if you're super passionate about that, but I wasn't. This was an area that I wasn't comfortable with. I was like, yo, I need a job after college. I need to be able to start paying off some of these loans. I got to start supporting maybe my little brother. My little brother has special needs. I got to start supporting my parents. There's so much just riding on kind of my future, outside of college, that I was like, yeah, it's just infeasible to kind of sit down and kind of explore these things and just not give a fuck about anything around me. For a lot of other people I met in the department, they had that freedom. They had parents that had a lot of money. That's where I think a lot of these majors come in, is if you're going to enter a major that doesn't really give you much financial return, like say going into education, for example, that's awesome. All props on you for exploring your passion, but make sure you have something financially set up to be able to explore this and still support the people that are actually depending on you. So that's one big distinction that I want to make. So I spent 2 years in this area, had no idea what I was going to do for a job, because the chances of getting a job in this industry were very low right out of college. You got to spend 2-3 years developing your portfolio. I was like, yo, I'm not going to be jobless for this long. And at this point in my life, I also had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was moving between stuff. I thought I wanted to work in the game industry, but I realized okay, maybe I just enjoy playing games a lot. I've made my own games and I enjoy doing it as passion projects, but I would never want to go through everything that those people went through for something that we may not get a job in a very long time, and frankly in an industry that is underpaying a lot of their workers. So I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, summer of 2018. This one book, I will tell you, this is the book that changed my life. If you have no idea where to get started on the path to financial literacy, I would highly recommend picking up that book, because that's what opened the door to more of Robert Kiyosaki's books, but as well as all these other books. And you start really kind of developing that mindset in terms of what to actually look for and what types of books to curate onto your list. Ever since reading that one book, I came into my junior year and I was like, yo, I gotta change everything around. I need to take control of my life. I changed my major. I entered our business school, and I have some problems with the business school too, right? But ultimately, at least you're getting some value in your degree, enough to get you a job. That's what got me my job right now, plus my call center job that I had as a student fundraiser. So there's a lot of life changes I made. I changed the people that I'm hanging around with, people that are a little bit more outgoing, people who can kind of challenge me to come out of my comfort zone. So just people I started hanging around, the major that I was in, reading a lot more books, and then starting to create content, attending seminars, and really kind of honing in on this journey of financial freedom till one day I decided, hey, you know what? I want my goal in life to be able to create a long-lasting financial legacy for 3 reasons, again, that I'm going to be talking about in just a second here. But that's my biggest goal, like hands down, without a doubt. I recently started an e-commerce coaching firm, and again, I'm starting to work on a lot more content for LinkedIn and YouTube specifically. So it's like, there's a lot that's happened because of that, and I don't regret any of the game design experience as I look back now, and the animation experience, because now I have a huge technical background to kind of play off of, and that just keeps me grounded. I think it's very easy in business to get too fancy too quick, and I was listening to a Gary Vee podcast where he talked about that recently, and that's the thing, is like, dude, we're students, we're so young, like, don't try to buy all this expensive crap. Like, the things that I buy are usually things that I use. So along with that, because of this whole COVID-19 situation, all the universities across the country shut down, and I lost my university job because of that. So there were all these different reasons that kind of prompted me to really get deeper into that financial IQ journey. What's going to happen out of this is a lot of people are realizing from this pandemic that we need more than one way to make an income. And those that aren't realizing it, or those that have but just choose not to do anything about it, are probably gonna be in a worse financial space than they already are. And the reality of it is that's their fault. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but that's their fault, because like, we have the resources we need to take action. Like I said, like, in the 2 years that I've just been only developing my mindset and finally started a company recently, like, I'm realizing the value in just like taking action. Like, I've been able to create some return because of that, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen over the next year. So this is why it's important to develop your financial IQ for economic reasons and personal reasons. There's 3 main reasons that I wanted to talk about, and just really the importance of being able to do it is so this way you're not leading a fake lifestyle. There's people out there that literally go like rent out like 30 minutes with a jet just so they can take a picture, or like a really expensive Lamborghini, and they don't even own this stuff. So like, you're seeing so much fake stuff all over these social media platforms. I was about to say fake news, but let's not go there right now. So like, there's so much fake stuff out there, and people are leading so many fake lifestyles. Like, people have homes and big cars and like really like fancy families and things like that. And then you look at their their financial statements, you look at their like tax returns every year, and you just look at how like their debt and how they're living their lives. And there's a lot going on in the background that's maybe not going to affect them too much until they get older. But guess what? It's going to affect their kids. And then it keeps going in that cycle. So kids are constantly demotivated because they're carrying on their parents' debt and all this bullshit that their parents did. And that's the biggest thing. So that's the importance of having a strong financial IQ. Here's 3 big reasons why it's really, really important to be able to have that strength. So the first one is you want to be able to build an actual asset that you can use to pay for stuff rather than living paycheck to paycheck. So this is something that I'm working on right now with my business, is building a strong asset outside of your job. So one day you can then walk away from your job, no matter where you're working, and be able to support yourself. As your income goes up, where you are on the tax bracket, your income tax bracket is going to go up. So like that's the thing, is like your taxes are going to go up along with your income, and you're going to be losing a lot more money no matter what. So that's why it's like, it's important to build preferably an untaxed asset, but an asset that's generating enough money for you to eventually walk away from a job. This is, you got to find something practical that's going to help you build an asset in your downtime and be able to utilize that to actually being able to step away from just like relying on a paycheck. Like, building a strong financial IQ is synonymous with building a strong financial asset, and really getting that asset to work for you instead of you working for it is the end goal. That's the end game. You want to be able to get to that point. So the other big reason why it's important to really develop your financial IQ and be able to, well, first off, start building that asset, is so you can explore your passions later down the line. So right now, obviously, I'm working in an e-commerce coaching firm. I'm not super passionate about the e-commerce part. Like, that's the thing, is like, a lot of these first ventures, no matter what it is, you're not going to be super passionate about. If you are, props to you. But like, these are solely ways to start generating enough capital to hopefully finally start getting into the real estate market, or get to the point where you can become an accredited investor. or maybe even start up that passion business. So for me, that passion business, I would love to run my own small independent game development studio, but it's not practical to do that right now because there's so much money that goes into the back end of that. And there's just so much you gotta think about, like just doing the research. Like you buy equipment, you gotta hire people, and then hopefully pay benefits and all that. I don't want to be one of those people that hires people and doesn't give them at least some benefits. There's a lot that a lot of startup people don't think about when they first start out. And like, that's great, it's a learning process, so props to you for even starting, but this is why it's important to really build that strong financial asset so you can explore some of your passions later down the line. Literally anything big that you're interested in that just requires a lot of money that you may not otherwise be able to do if you only relied on a paycheck. So along with that, the final reason for building a strong financial asset is to start being able to pass on something to your kids, passing on your legacy. Now this is obviously geared towards people that want a family, that have kids or are going to have kids or anything like that. Like that's probably my second biggest goal, is to like pass something on to the future, like the future Mohit, like the future, like the legacy that I'm gonna leave behind. And like that should drive anybody, because like what else are you like here every day for? Like like we are here to leave our mark on the world, positive mark. I want to say that, I want to clarify that. We're here to leave a legacy. And like for me, the legacy that I want to leave on, I want to leave something, to leave a huge financial legacy, so like my future kids don't have to go through what I went through when like growing up. Like they can choose whether college is for them or not, and if they go to college, they don't have to major in something like engineering or business or anything that they're not interested in, right? They will have the flexibility to really be able to explore any of those extra majors that they might just want to be like creating passion projects in, or maybe even start a passion business of their own and be able to add more revenue to the pipeline through something that they're passionate about right off the bat, because they'll have the capital and they'll also have the know-how from my experiences. So that's the biggest thing. Those are the three biggest things. You want to build that financial asset. You want to be able to explore your passions through that asset, and then finally be able to pass all of that on to the legacy that you're going to leave behind, to your kids preferably, right? You want to be able to leave something so those future generations won't have to go through the same exact struggles. Otherwise, what's the point of you going through those struggles? Like, you're not leaving anything behind that's going to make your kids' lives easier. So with that in mind, these are three really big reasons to really build up your financial IQ and get that first business asset growing in the background. It's been a huge journey so far. It's only been 2 years, and a lot of that I've just been finishing up school and developing my mindset, but now finally starting my business on the side and obviously looking into other ways to generate revenue. Like, there's so much that I'm learning, and it's just so fast, and like there's so much I still don't know. So like that's the thing about this channel, is it's all about the journey. It's all about things that I've learned, and then just really being able to hopefully bring some of that value back in a timely manner to people that are kind of following in those footsteps or also equally on that journey. So if you're brand new, I know I just added a bunch of you on here, from my job that I just started. Feel free to subscribe if you really like this, if you found this interesting. Ask me some questions, hit me up. Like, definitely let me know what you think and what are some things I can improve, because I know there are. Like, for example, that corner behind me, that's got to go. The amount that I've grown and learned through the process of being able to pursue the idea of financial freedom over the past like 2.5 years, and the amount of people that I've met, the doors that have been opened, and like also the substantial like leap ahead of pretty much all of my friends back home, except for maybe like one of them. Like, just the substantial leap I've seen. Like, yeah, it sucks, but like ultimately it just means you're growing, you're falling into a different bracket of people, and you're able to meet so many new people because of it and get a lot of value. So I hope the same thing happens for all of you. Once again, let me know, what are your thoughts on the idea of financial freedom? Do you think it's important for everybody to know it, or do you think, no, Mohit, like what are you talking about? We gotta live paycheck to paycheck, just go out, party every night. Like, there's always a balance. Like, I love going out as much as the next guy, but there's always a balance, and it's important to have something growing in the background so you can really leave that legacy behind. But yeah, with that being said, if y'all really like this, please leave that like, and then also subscribe, because that's gonna help out a lot. We're gonna get this channel 100 over the next couple months, so I can finally change that URL and be able to pass this channel on a lot easier. But yeah, outside of that, really appreciate everybody's time, and have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this. See you guys.